Hello, my name is Julie and this is KS Mom Crochets, and today is a 2022 roundup video. So I went through and I tallied up all of my projects, how many projects that I completed. I counted up all of my ball bands because I have been keeping my ball bands all year long, and I counted up how many yards of yarn that I used. I also did not have any intentions of doing any type of goal video, but I did write a few things down and I want to share that with you. Now, before I get started, I just want to say that a lot of the projects that I finished were small projects. Like, I did a lot of tiny amigurumis, especially in September for a fellow YouTuber to be a yarn fairy, Crystal, over at Chronically Crocheting. I had did a lot of small projects for her. Now, some of these projects were big projects, but a lot of projects that I make are, amigurumi, and they don't take as long. So I just want to say that because I don't want it to seem like I'm bragging or maybe somebody else did way more than I did or used way more yarn than I did too. This is not a comparison video. This is just me sharing with you all what I have accomplished this year. So I did, like I said, I do keep a journal. I have been keeping this journal for 2 years. I don't have very many pages left. I only have like 4 pages left in this journal. So I will have to get me a new one for 2023. But I did go through and I counted up all of the projects that I finished. And I finished 147 projects this year. So that is so awesome. My daughter made 2 projects because I actually kept track of her projects as well. She made 2 projects and she made all of those hearts for me that I shared in my last podcast. Now, I did have 4 projects that are going to carry over into the new year, and that is my blueberry cupcake doll, my snowman doily, my baby blanket, and the elephant, Peanut the elephant. So I do have 4 projects that I started and have not completed yet. I also had 6 projects that I started, but I did not finish. I have no desire to finish them, and I will never finish them. So those are scrapped projects. I got rid of them or used the yarn for something else, or just, decided not to do that particular project. So like I said, I did have 147 completed projects. Now, like I said earlier, I have been keeping all of my ball bands, and I had a lot of ball bands, and I did go through and count them, and I had 90 ball bands. I thought that was so weird that I had an even number of ball bands, but that is just how it worked out. I also used a calculator and calculated up how many yards, and I used 26,951 yards of yarn, which is equivalent to 15.3 miles. And I love doing this. This is my 2nd year keeping my ball bands and counting up how many yards that I used, and it's fun. It's really fun to see how much yarn that you go through in 1 year. Now, this is actually more than last year. I did keep track of that last year, and I did surpass what I did last year, and I think that YouTube has a lot to do with that. Making videos has really made me work through my yarn a lot more than maybe I would have without making videos. I will continue doing this in the new year as well. So I'm going to talk about goals now. I did write down a few goals, And one of my goals is my journal. I do want to continue logging my projects. Like I said, I have been using this project journal for 2 years now. I started it back in 2021. And what I do is I put the month at the top, and then I number my projects. I put a star beside of the project that I am done with. Like if I completed a project, it has a star beside of it. If I decide to not finish that project, like here are two back in July that I decided not to finish, I completely draw a line through it. That way I can still see, you know, well, that's a project that I tried, but I didn't want to do it. And if I make a project and I don't finish it, let's see if I can find one that I have not finished yet. Like my baby blanket that I'm doing, it just has a number but no star or anything. That way that I know, you know, hey, this is a WIP that I need to finish, and that I have intentions of finishing. So that is how that I keep track of my projects, and I will probably get another, or I know that I will get another notebook to keep my projects in. And like I said, this is just a lined, it's just a lined journal, and this is what I use. Now, that was my number one goal, was to keep up with my journaling. I do write down the project name, where I got the pattern. I also write down the hook size and what yarn that I used, and if I have any notes, because sometimes when I make a blanket, I will write down how many chains that I did, how that I altered that pattern to make it the width that I wanted for a blanket, for example. And later on, I might want to make that same stitch pattern again, or use that same stitch in another blanket. And I have done that multiple times. Go back into my notes and see, what did I do for the last blanket so that I can do it for this blanket. Or also with making YouTube videos, if I make an adjustment to a pattern, I want to be able to tell you all what that I did different. You know, like maybe I had to remove some increases, or maybe I decided to change the way something looked or used a different color, or, you know, whatever. I write as much information as I can down. And I have been really good about keeping up with this. Like I said, I have been doing this for 2 years, and this is something that I highly recommend, even if it's just writing down the name of the project and your hook size, because I have projects from before I started doing this that I don't know what hook size I used. I don't know what yarn I used. I don't know anything about that project. I don't even know the project name to be able to go through and finish that project, which leads me to WIPs. That is something that I need to do. I need to go through and look at my old WIPs, because I have works in progress that I started before I started journaling, before I started making YouTube videos. I have no idea how to finish them, and I need to do something with them, because they are just piled up in my closet, and I need the space. I don't have space to keep projects that I'm never going to finish. So that is something that I really want to do sometime this year, is just go through and look at these old projects that I have started and do something with them, whether it be get rid of them, change them into something else. Like if it's a blanket I started, maybe make a baby blanket out of it. I have done that before. Or just, you know, decide not to finish it, because I don't have the space to keep projects for years, and I do have a lot of projects that I have had for years. I know that I have a basket in my closet in my bedroom that has squares in it, like tons of squares, and they are just sitting there. They have been sitting there since before I moved into the house that I live in now, because I remember I started them at the apartment that we used to live in, and that was almost 4 years ago. So I really need to pull out those squares and connect them, do something with them, and just get them out of that closet. Another thing that goes under WIPs is I want to finish the projects left over from 2022. I do have 4. Like I said, I only have 4 this year. I did have more last year. Like I said, YouTube really has motivated me. Making these videos has motivated me to finish what I start. I don't always start what I say I'm going to start, but I do try to finish what that I have started. And those 4 projects are things that I will definitely be trying to finish up this week, hopefully, because I really don't have a lot to go on some of them. Number 3 is yarn. I am not going to put myself on a yarn ban. I'm not going to do that to myself, because whenever I do try to put myself on a yarn ban, I usually end up buying yarn. And how can you pass up some deals that these companies have, or these big box stores have? It's really hard to pass up a good deal on yarn. So I am not going to put myself on any type of yarn ban, but I am going to limit myself to the type of yarn that I buy. I'm not going to splurge on yarn unless it's something that I know that I'm going to use. Now, this is something that this was a goal that I had for myself last year as well, before I started making videos, was to not buy yarn because I thought it was pretty. Buy yarn that you know you're going to use. Like, I know that I use a lot of solid colors, but I also know that this pink has been here for a long time. I don't use a lot of pink. So I know that I don't need to buy pink yarn, because I need to use what I have that's already in pink. Also, another thing is I don't use a lot of variegated yarns, as like that kind of yarn as much. So I'm trying to stick more to yarns that I'll use. I'm not saying that I won't buy variegated yarns, but I know that I will use more solid yarn than I do stuff like that, because there's only certain projects that you can make that look right. And it's really hard. I'm really bad about buying like one skein of something. And that is something else that I need to be mindful of, because I have been making more blankets here lately, and it takes more yarn to make a blanket than it does to make a stuffed animal. Like, I could use this skein right here and make maybe a teddy bear or something like that, but if I don't have anything that goes with that, then I can't use that in a blanket. So that's something else that I need to be mindful of, is the weight of yarn. Like, this is a more bulky yarn. I need to, not buy a lot of yarn that I can't mix with other yarns that I have. Like, I wouldn't put that bulky yarn with this 4-weight yarn, if that makes sense. But I digress. Another thing that I'm going to try to do is use my stash yarn. Obviously, as you can see, I probably don't have as much yarn as some people do, but I do have a lot of yarn, and I was really, really good, as you can see by my ball bands. I was really good about using up yarn that I had. And that was another thing about my ball bands, going back to that, is if I had a partial skein and I finished that skein, it did go in my ball band bag. I do that, whether or not I used it a year ago and I finished it now, it would go in my ball bands, because I finished that yarn at some point. I finished and used that yarn. So that is another reason that I might have a few more ball bands than I normally would have if I didn't do that, was because I did use up some of my stash, which includes partial skeins. The next thing that I want to do is I want to organize. I want to get in here and organize this yarn. I want to remove this and put something else in there because I still have my wee crochet haul that I did a couple it's been a while, maybe a month ago, sitting over there in the boxes still, and I don't want to do that. I want to put stuff up and find a home for it and organize my yarn. I also want to organize crochet related things, which kind of goes into what I was saying about my whips. I do have stuff up here that I need to organize. I need to go through it. I need to decide, are you going to keep this? Are you going to get rid of it? Because I need the space for other things. So like I said, organize my yarn stash, get rid of my pile up and do something with it. Number 5, is books. I have a lot of books, a lot of crochet books, a lot of crochet patterns that I have been gifted or that I have bought myself. I have a lot of patterns saved on the app Dropbox, which is an excellent way to save PDF files. Sorry. But I have a lot of patterns already available to me, and I need to try to use them because I have books that I have still not made patterns from. My problem is instead of looking through the patterns that I already have, I will go searching on Pinterest or Ravelry or Instagram or YouTube and find something new, and I really need to work out of my patterns that I already have. I need to try to find the inspiration that I'm looking for in my stash patterns. Kind of like using your stash yarn. Use your stash patterns as well, because what's the point in having all of these crochet books if I'm never going to use them? So that is definitely something that I want to do. I have been really good about that this past year, about using patterns that I already have. I'm not going to limit myself and say, hey, you can never make a new pattern. I'm not going to do that, but I do want to try, because there are some days that I'm like, oh, I really want to make something new, but I don't know what I want to make, and I want to pull out those books, look through those patterns, and try to find something there before I start searching other sites. And number 6, which is the last thing on my list, is YouTube. I feel like I have only been making YouTube videos since March of 2022. So I have not been making them for a full year yet. I'm almost there. Just a couple more months. But I want to remove some of the stress because making YouTube videos is stressful for me. Because I am a mom, I am a wife, I have a job, and I have other responsibilities besides making YouTube videos. And I enjoy getting on here and talking to you all and showing you what I finished or whatever, but I want to make it more stress-free because there are times that I'm like, I have to really push myself to make a video because I'm tired and I don't want to make one that day, but I feel like that I need to. So I'm not going to limit myself or pressure myself to make a video on a specific day anymore. I'm not going to say my podcasts are always going to come out on Sunday and Monday, because it's been really nice the past couple weeks. I have, due to the holidays and things like that, I have just had like a random podcast. Maybe I did one on a Tuesday, and I think that that's what I'm going to do. I know that a lot of people prefer for YouTubers to do their videos on a specific day, because then they're like, okay, hey, I know to go and look to see if that person has made their video today. But I have decided that that is not what I'm going to do this year. So if I don't show up on a Sunday or Monday, then maybe I'll make one later that week. I also don't want to put pressure on myself. I've really put pressure on myself to finish things as well, and I don't want to do that either. If I feel like finishing something, then I'll finish it. So this is to show. I always feel like I need to have something to show, and that's me. That's the type of person that I am. I don't like to disappoint people, I guess. It makes me feel bad when I feel like I'm disappointing someone else, and that's just a personal thing. That's just how I am all the time, and other things as well. And it's a little bit, you can get a little bit of pressure when your numbers start going up and you know that you have more people watching your videos. It can put a little pressure on yourself. And YouTube is definitely something that I want to continue to do, because I really do enjoy making videos and getting on here and making these podcasts and showing you all and talking about projects, because I don't have anybody else to talk to, and I've made a lot of friends. So I really do enjoy doing that. I'm just saying I want it to be a no pressure 2023, and just kind of explain to you all what that I am thinking. And that is all that I have wrote down for my goals in my little book here. I just wanted to make realistic goals, because other times that I've tried to do that, I have wrote down like, don't buy no yarn, or these projects are projects that you want to make this year, or just unrealistic goals that I set for myself, and I wanted it to be realistic. I can take the time to go through and fix up my yarn. I can go in here and look for something to pull out of my stash instead of going online and looking for something new to buy. You know what I mean? So I want it to be realistic. And that is something that I suggest for you all as well, is make your goals realistic if you decide to set any. Don't put too much pressure on yourself to complete things or to do certain things, because when you don't meet your goal at the end of the year, then it just makes yourself feel bad, and that's not what crochet is about. For me, crochet is about having fun and enjoying the process. So I hope that you all enjoyed this video. I am going to release this video instead of a podcast this week, because I really haven't crocheted that much. I've just been super busy, super tired, and there are some days that I come home from work and I can't even lift my arms up to hold a crochet hook, because I'm just exhausted. So I'm going to take a little bit of me time, and hopefully I will have some things to show you all later. But I hope that you all have a awesome new year. I hope that you're safe and you're healthy wherever you are, and Happy New Year. And here is to 2023 and all of the wonderful creations that we can make. And until next time, I will see you all in another video. Bye.